Hello there, I'm Elwyn, and I've been a tarot reader and working witch since, well, to be honest, I was raised by tarot readers and working witches, so for a long time. And I thought, let's do some tarot card reviews. And so we're going to start this series of reviews off with one that I found one of my favourite decks, certainly, and one that I've had for a while now. It's called the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery, second edition. This tarot deck takes a little bit of getting used to. You can certainly use this deck if you are familiar and you worked with the Rider-Waite, because there are obviously similarities, as there are so many similarities with the Waite Tarot across the board nowadays. But this in particular has a placement in Hermeticism as well in some regard. Let's have a look and just read the little pamphlet first, shall we? The creator or author of the cards is Robert M. Place. I started on the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery because of my love of the 19th century pre-Raphaelite paintings of Edward Burne-Jones, with their melancholy otherworldly settings peopled by tall, pale, stunningly beautiful women and equally memorable heroic men. Burne-Jones and the pre-Raphaelites believed that art was a spiritual or magical endeavour, and towards this end they formed a mystical brotherhood of English artists dedicated to recapturing the sincerity of the art of the early Renaissance. And I will say that I think they do just that. There is something incredibly Renaissance-like about these cards. One of the reasons why I chose these cards in the first place. They are mysterious. If you intuitively read cards, these are going to be great to just unravel and almost decode in some ways. Now, the booklet here has there's many different things incorporated into this. It's not just a simple booklet. All right, let's get that straight. They don't just tell you how to use them. All right, I'm not going to go through all of this, but let me read this first to give you an idea. The 7 planets were thought of as the soul centers of the cosmos, and corresponding soul centers could be found ascending the spine. From the sacrum to the crown of the head, in the microcosm of the human body, Pythagoras developed the diatonic music scale with 7 notes to capture the sound that each planet made as it orbited the Earth. This was called the music of the spheres. He marked each note with one of the 7 vowels of the Greek alphabet, and through a musical treatment used this scale to bring the human soul centers into harmony with the planets. These notes functioned like virtues meant to heal each soul center. Later, lists of 7 virtues meant to cure 7 vices, each associated with a soul centre, began to appear in Hermetic, Gnostic and mystical Christian philosophy. I believe that the tarot's trumps depict divine virtues, driving an accent through the 7 soul centres depicted repeatedly on 3 levels of group of trumps, which correspond to the 3 Platonic souls. So there is a lot of Hellenistic forms as well. We have the Hellenistic ladder of the planets, with Saturn at the top and Luna at the base. So let's have a close-up and unbox, shall we? So here is the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery, second edition, by Robert M. Place. This kind of almost woodcut etching style you will find throughout the whole deck. All right, it's one of the things that I love. It appeals to me. Also, this very Renaissance symbolism is a big part of tarot, and in some tarot, especially more modern forms of tarot, it's kind of fallen away, that symbolism. There is less intricacy in a lot of decks. That's not the case with this deck. Another reason why I love it. I love a complex deck myself. Now, one of the things I love most is this box. I keep most of the boxes for my cards, and here we have the Hermit on the back, Hermes Publications, as you can see there. And it's just lovely. You have this kind of glued canvas and cardboard, old-fashioned, feels really nice, very solid box. It's not the kind of box that you'd really want to throw away, if I'm honest. So pull out the deck, and we have the booklet. All right. Now, one of the things that perhaps you will notice first is, and this is the backing of the cards, and all the cards have this. Now, one of the things that I love is it means that you know if your cards are the wrong way round. So if you don't wish to work with inverted cards in your tarot readings, you don't need to. I like that, all right? This is called the Staff of Serapis, okay? Serapis was the principal god of the mystery religion that dominated Hellenistic Egypt. He was a combination of the Egyptian Osiris and the Apis bull. The Hellenistic Egyptians equated him with the Greek god Hades, and they provided Serapis with a three-headed dog like Hades' hound, Cerberus. But the three heads of the Egyptian hound were transformed into the head of a wolf, a lion, and a dog. Like the heads of Cerberus, they represented the past, present, and future. In the 15th century, this image was introduced to Renaissance artists and philosophers, but they equated the image with Prudence, who in the Middle Ages and Renaissance was often depicted with three heads representing the three lesser virtues that she incorporated. They also made it a symbol of Apollo instead of Serapis, similar to the staff of Apollo, I presume. But nevertheless, who was lesser known to them. Besides the past, present, and future, they believed that the three heads represented the three Platonic soul levels, as well as memory, intelligence, and foresight. It was said that the wolf, as a symbol of appetite, devours the past like memory. The lion, as a symbol of courage and will, dominates the present with his intelligence and action. And the dog, as a symbol of reason and virtue, creates a better future through his prudence and optimistic hope. As a symbol of prudence and three Platonic souls, this symbol relates well to my theory on the symbolism of the trumps and shows how this theme was commonly expressed in the iconography of the Renaissance. Sorry, I was reading that. That was what is in this book here. This book also comes with, as I said, not just a means to how to use the tarot, but also some lovely imagery here. Here is the three-headed face of Prudence from the more Catholic forms of mysticism. Here, the Hellenistic ladder of the planets, and then beyond that we have some other bits here of the staff fire feeling going into each card and what they mean, as you normally would have within a tarot. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these cards. They're obviously shuffled because I use these cards, as you could probably tell. They have a gold gilded edge. Can't really tell them very well because, as I say, I've used them. But when I first got them out of the deck, it was very obvious, as it usually is before you use them. And you can still see that, just barely. You can still see that. Big deck, a lot of cards. One of the things I do look for in tarot, doesn't matter how good the tarot is, do they fit in my hands? Okay, I don't have small hands, but they're not like gigantic hands, all right? They're just fairly normal size hands I have, and they fit very well. I can hold them like so. I can shuffle. Oops. Reasonably well. Yeah, like it very much, very much. Now, here we are, star. You'll also notice that everything has the Latin on it. Stella for star, obviously. Here, planetary symbols or alchemical virtues as well within this. So, star, the Four of Pentacles. There, you will notice here that these are not numbered. So oftentimes, like me, I go very much by the number at the top, so I'm just like, right, I know. But if, like me, you may find yourself counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of wands. It's not really a problem. Like, the more you use this deck, the more you get used to it. However, as you can see, these cards, what I love about these cards here is prudence, which, as you may be able to see, is very similar to the world in that aspect, with so much around it. One of the things I like about this is, if you see here the minor suits, we have the 4 of Pentacles and the 4 of Swords. They're not simple. Very much like the Rider decks, or the Waits, if you like. They follow the similar trend, but there is this, nowadays we get a lot when it comes to tarot. People will literally just put 4 coins, 4 pentacles, nothing else. That's not the case with this card. As you can see, you get a lot of imagery here. If you're like me, I have so many tarot decks. And the thing is that some tarot decks wish to work for certain things. They just work better for certain individuals, certain questions, if they are asked, even certain times of the year. And when it comes to this is a thoughtful deck. This is a mindful, an analytical, a philosophical deck. So if there is a question that is not simple, you cannot narrow it down to yes or no. If there is you are seeking answers or revelations that perhaps may uncover truths that are difficult for you to, or difficult for the person you are reading for to face, this would be a great deck. All right. Let me just, as I said, completely at random, we're going to just look at the cards. No point otherwise just doing this. Let's give you some others here. The Emperor, Queen of Swords, the 9 of Wands. Oh, turn that way around. Death, obviously. Also, I love this. You can often judge a lot by the depiction of death within a card, but when you look at that, I think it's so much more gentler. You see the bird by the scythe, which is almost something which has chance within it. The birds swoop so closely to that which may end its life, and yet the character of death is focusing upon this leaf instead of we often have someone on a horse, a skeleton on a horse with a dead king or something like this beneath it. It's far more harrowing, but at the same time more impressionable. Here is the cups. One of the things I do like about the cups here is that usually the cups will have alchemical planetary symbols upon them, and I think that's just it just does something for me. I love to see them. The Lady of Swords, presumably the Page of Swords, for we have knights within this, so the Lady of Swords instead is the Knave or Page. There is the 3 of Wands. Once again, have a good look at that one. Really very nice, very clear as well. Everything is very apparent. It's very present within that card. Do you know what I mean? There's no hidden things there. It is what it is within that. Even the way the bodies are holding themselves, the characters, the way where they're looking. There's almost a mournful sense to this one, and yet there's all this abundance around and this sense of action. I love that. I think it's wonderful. Really, really very good. Ace of Swords, the Laurel. So that is the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery 2nd edition. What do I think of it? I really like it. Of course I like it. That's why I got it. But is it good for a beginner? Not necessarily, all right? If this was your first tarot deck, you may find it very difficult to go to other tarot decks and be like, oh, okay. That being said, you always have to go with what it looks like and how it feels. I've got tarot cards that I thought they're great, and once I've got them, they just fight me a lot of the times. Oftentimes it takes a lot of getting used to each other, right? So overall, for the Sevenfold Tarot, it comes in at around $35 to $40. You can get it, all right? This is the second edition. Very clear, quite easy to read, but does have its own little curveballs when it comes to the influence of the Renaissance and the forms of mysticism that influence the tarot itself. So there's a little bit of learning involved in that, which is never a bad thing. All right, so ease of use, not the easiest. Beginners may find this a difficult deck to use. All right, packaging. I mean, I have to hand it to them. I've got many different cards. Now, of all the cards, I've never seen such quite lovely packaging as this, especially for the price that you're paying. The colour, just that kind of early Renaissance style, vivid symbolism within the cards. The size of the cards in your hand are almost perfect. Here, as I said, if I hold it up here, you can see there. It's not too big, not too small, which is great if you happen, like I do, to do a lot of cards readings where you're in front of a screen. Quite easy to see, quite easy to read. For all these reasons, I'm going to give it a fairly strong 7.5 out of 10. A strong start there for the Sevenfold. I would highly recommend it. Not my most favourite deck, but definitely one that I reach for. Perhaps maybe once out of every 10 readings. All right, so a strong contender there for me, at least. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more tarot reviews, vlogs, and just general witch and tarot stuff. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.